Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In Nier Reincarnation, we got the last of the new circus anniversary costumes, and that is for Lavonia, and he is a provoke tank. As we can see from this chart that I made, not a lot of provoke tanks, so it's kind of a big deal. Typically, I don't think costume reviews are very needed because this game is not that complex, and we can kind of sum up what a character does fairly quickly. But I thought it would be fun to compare this Lavonia to the previous provoke tanks. Talk about what's different between them, and then see if older tanks are power crept and obsolete because of this new Lavonia. And I am happy to see a provoke tank equipping a fist or a spear. We don't have one of those yet, so it's gonna have us looking at our accounts a little bit differently, and that'll be fun. It's funny, I was seeing a lot of people saying that with the stat inflation, the power creep, with karma and other stuff like that, that the arena meta particularly would move away from kind of tanky stuff and then more kind of return to the one punch agility sniping kind of thing. But I think this arrival of Levania shows we're not quite going to go there. Okay, but let's look at Lavonia. He is going to be a water element, so that automatically makes me think of pairing him with Summer Yuri. And then to counter them, maybe some strong wind attackers. I'm trying to think who I have a very strong wind attacker of. But crazy HP, way higher than Udil, who is way higher than the other two. Attack is low, although it is higher than anybody here. Defense is higher, which I think is interesting. And then in his character skill, he also has a defense self-buff. He might be an interesting defense-scaled attacker. And then there are a lot of water weapons. Not a lot, but there are a few water weapons with a defense-scaled damage. So yeah, maybe put Bloody Lars's sword on him. There's that Hatcher fist, although the multipliers there aren't very high. And then I put the agilities there, including for the rank bonus. And yeah, Lavonia has a little bit higher than normal. That could come into your calculations for kind of the pre-character skill actions. Oh, and I should say here, just kind of overall, before I forget, I said this a while ago, but I haven't said it recently. I don't think using provoke tanks in your defense teams is very good. That might sound counterintuitive, but I think they're much better for attack teams. We still see a lot of defense teams, at least in global, where they use provoke tanks. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best way to go. And if you're playing the last half hour, the last 10 minutes of a season, you see that in the top 20, all of the provoke tanks disappear from the defense teams. Okay, but anyway, returning to Lavonia. Character skill, it's a provoke for 3 turns. And as we can see looking at the other provoke tanks, they are either 2 turns or 3 turns. It's not a giant difference, but once in a while it does make a difference. I've run into more than a few times a situation where I'm going against Anniversary Udil, and the provoke wears off surprisingly quickly, and I'm able to attack other guys in the team. And then also in the character skill, right, the self-buff for defense, 50%. And then Defiance, that's that new skill. If he puts that on, he will give himself a 100% chance to evade and then counter regular attacks. This is a bit strange on a character skill charged from start, because typically the regular attacks that we're afraid of are going to come before the character skill goes off. So I think overall, this skill is not going to factor very much into the performance of this Lavonia. I think he's really good, regardless of if he has that or not. And then that is activated through equipping a water weapon, so I would not feel obligated to stick to water weapons for Lavonia at all. There are some tanky light element fists, for example, that might be a good fit for him. When Defiance becomes something like a passive skill, always on from the beginning of battle, or it's on a debris or something, then I'll be interested, but until then, no. But yeah, if we look at the character skills for all the other characters, Provoke 2 or Provoke 3. Let's see, the big difference between Levania and Udil, for example, is Udil has 2 breaks. Very different from raising your own defenses. And then Udil, he has great partners in like Anniversary Demus, or Anniversary F66X, or the new Summer Yuri, where they can combine their attack breaks and then get up to potentially 100%. And so that's very powerful. And then we look at Griff, 3-turn provoke, that's nice, that's long. And then the 5 hits, damage mitigation for 90%. Nobody else has that. And as we shall see, looking at the character passives later, the new Levania is the only one with damage mitigation out of the box. So yeah, Griff still has that niche ability, but a blank 3rd part. Everybody else has 3 parts to their provoke character skills, but Griff only has 2. I think he's still very usable, very viable, but again, in an attack party, not a defense party. Alright, and then finally we have 063Y, but he also buffs his own defense. 5 times regen, so he can kind of eat 5 hits. Okay, and then character passives. Levania has HP up, but for himself only. That's kind of surprising, especially when you compare that to Udil or Griff. He has a one-time heal for 50%, same as Udil. Griff has the heal for 100%, that's another characteristic of him. And then character passive, this is the 3rd awakening, so this can help us determine maybe how many times we want to pull for a character. Levania, this is how he gets his damage mitigation barriers, and I think it's pretty important for him to go to Awakening 3. It's much less important for Udil. He gets the Caged Vigor, and then light stats up on Griff. Kind of what he wants most is stats, so getting him to Awakening 3 or 4 is nice. But here I should point out that Griff is still the only provoke tank that's in the standard pool, so for perhaps a lot of players, he'll be the only and best option. But yeah, that's one advantage I would say that Udil has. He's super usable at Awakening 0, 1, or 2, while Levania really wants to be 3. So we're seeing the developers kind of pull on our purse strings there. Okay, and then for debris, Levania has a one-time regen when you go under a certain amount. That's useful, but there are other like weapons that you can equip as sub-weapons that have like one-time heals. That might be good enough. HP up on Udil, that's fine, but not necessary. Light damage up on Griff, that's nice. Not necessarily for Griff, but good to have. And then on a 063Y, when equipped with a water weapon, he'll get some character skill fill. Not good for him, but could be good in special circumstances. So, in conclusion, how necessary do I feel is Circus Levania? If you don't have Udil, I think he's a slam dunk. It depends on how much you like Arena. He's usable in every game mode except for subjugations, but I think Arena is going to be the main reason why most people want to pull for him. I think as far as like defenses and then like protecting the party, Udil might be better. You know, he gives the HP up to the party. He breaks the attack and stuff of the opponent. But I still think Levania is going to be very, very strong, and we're going to see a lot of him, and he's going to affect the meta. And I'm going to start to think about how to counter him right before the end of the Arena Season 2. Okay, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.